So I'll be discussing a brief background on industrial applications of NFB and SDN and OpenFlow. Okay. Okay, so here are the topics. Digital data in the Philippines. Actually, ito yung mga statistics about usage of digital data. And then a brief review of telecom and the future and what's inside the core network. And then I'll be discussing about NFBI and ROSP. ROSP mamaya ma-explain ko siya. And then sample open projects. As mentioned kanina, no, may mga open, mostly may mga open organizations or open networking na ginagamit siya for some are hobby, some are R&D. So yun, mag-share ako ng mga sample links. And then how to bridge the gap. Uh, as you see, no, napaka-highly technical nung OpenFlow SD and NFB. So we need to bridge the gap. Actually, ang layo nung technology na dun sa mga especially dun sa mga newly grad. Okay, so as a start, no, before a company or operator invest in a new technology, so most of the time they check the environment. Is it profitable ba to invest to a new technology? Um, Worth it ba? Magki-click ba yung technology or the market needs a new technology? So some statistics, no, I use the data from We Are Social. So most of the time statistics siya about uh, usage ng internet and social media and some platform. Okay. So first slide, it shows that the Philippines is the 30th largest populations. So we are around 118 million. So meaning there's a lot of potential customers. And then in terms of internet usage, we are third highest. We spend around 8 hours and 52 minutes for a day of internet. So if you think no, ang working schedule natin is 8 hours plus 1 hour na break. So parang kasama na yung break dun sa 8 hours and 52 pa. Most of the time nag-internet. Next statistics, so it's a global statistics no, about populations. So there's around 8 billion people. So may additional no, 74 million. So 8 billion, no, hindi lang 3 billion, 8 billion. And then for mobile connections, there are around 8.65. So more than siya dun sa total populations, meaning there are people who use multiple cellular mobile connectivity or SIM cards. And then individual using the internet is around 5.3 billion. So there's an additional 97 billion. Ito global tone data na to. And then around 5 billion din yung mga social media user identities. Combination na to ng different platforms. And then for the Philippines, we increased around 1.8 million. So there are new people or Filipinos born last year. Pero can you see no, yung cellular mobile connections, we decreased around 51 million. Does anyone know anong reason bakit naging 51, nag-decrease tayo ng 51 million? So there's a government initiative to register the SIM cards. So I think ito yung contributor kung bakit nabawasan tayo ng 51 million. So meaning maybe there are around 51 million SIM cards na na-decommission or tinanggal na sa network. Okay. And then individuals using the internet, so nag-increase pa rin siya about 1.8 million. And then sa social media, nag-increase din siya ng 6.5. Okay. So in a gist, no, nag-increase pa rin yung usage sa internet. Okay. Ito naman yung daily time spent with media. So around 8 hours and 52 minutes. Yung kanina sinabi ko, no, one-third nga tayo. Pero nag-decrease na pala siya ng 21 minutes. And then sa time spent watching television or broadcast and streaming, nag-decrease din siya ng 18 minutes. Time spent using social media, 8 minutes, nag-decrease din. So most likely, ito yung contributor na nag-open na yung, yung restrictions, yung mga pandemic restrictions, so nag-open na back to work. back to normal na. So most likely yung mga time na spent niyan, nabawasan na yung paggamit ng mobile internet. And then ito yung data for last 10 years about internet adoption rate. So since 2014, no, medyo gradual yung increase ng internet adoption. Meaning every year nag-increase lang no, around 6%. Pero na kung makikita nyo around 2020, napakalaki ng change. Ito yung time na nagkaroon ng pandemic. So nagkaroon ng restrictions sa mobility and then magstay at home lang. So doon yung time na tumaas yung build ng infrastructure. Madami yung mga in-install na mga connectivity sa bahay. So that's the main contributor kung bakit nag-increase yung usage or internet adoption. And then since 2022 hanggang this year, January 2024, uh, most naging stable or naging flat or plateau na yung growth. So we don't know the contributor. Maybe we saturated the market. We already provided enough build to accommodate the number of users. Or maybe it's uh, a little pause and maybe there's a new technology that will contribute to a new demand. So some of the items that we're looking at, maybe the IoT will uptake maybe next year or in 2 years. Maybe there are new technologies. If the 5G will push through, especially with the private network, fixed wireless, and network slicing, if that will push through, maybe there will be additional growth in terms of internet adoptions. So basically, we don't see if there's enough demand, but in terms of new technologies, uh, most of the topics discussed has been implemented already. It's already in the network and it's being used. And if there's some expansion later on in terms of internet usage, and it will be readily available. Okay, so a brief review, no, from user equipment, there's a um, access network that provides a signal, and then all the data will go to core network. So the core network involves a lot of network functions or network elements, and then it basically provides the services like going to the internet where you can have an email, pictures, social medias, music, and communications. So all of them are processed through the internet or through the local cache uh, cache servers inside the core network. Uh, so basically, the transactions are mostly digital or data driven. So here's the next slide. So it shows about the trends in terms of future or in terms of telecoms deployment. Traditional, so mga way back around early 2000. So traditional, no, most of the implementations are using specific hardware or specific components. So ito yung mga usually mga branded. May specific brand and then they have their own hardwares. They put it in the data center and then connect. There are also some bare metal typical installations with OS, operating systems, and then install the applications and connect to the network. So, but basically, it's traditional pa rin. It's more on bare metal applications and then connectivity to the network. And then kailan ba namin sir? Siguro around 2014, 2011, something like that, we start using virtualizations. At that time, we use Oracle virtual machines with ZFS functionality. Although may Red Hat KVM na rin at that time. Pero since our product or our project is about Oracle, so we deploy the Oracle. It's a virtual machines installed in one server. So one server can accommodate around three servers or virtual machines. And then Cloudified, I think the first implementations of Cloudified or clouds, it's around 2014. It's hybrid implementations where we combine the traditional and virtual. So we have a dedicated private cloud. Um, so it's a hybrid installations where we have a dedicated private cloud for some of the servers, and then we have traditional or bare metal installed in a data center connected directly to the network. Okay, and then we also started using NFDI around 2021. Um, so we use the Red Hat OpenStack platform for that. So in 2021, um, so that's the first implementations of NFDI. And then for the cloud native, uh, there's initial discussions because some of the applications are not yet available or not capable or still under the development or testing for using a cloud native. Cloud native is a different or a separate technology from NFDI or OpenStack. Okay, so here's some of the technology names related with some mentions kanina before. So proprietary hardware, physical network, and then hypervisors. So there are KVMs, VMwares, but it's still using POTS servers or commercially off the shelves. So it's installed in the network or data centers. And then next is the NFD infrastructure. Um, it's managed or developed by OpenStack. Although they're commercially available OpenStack, um, yeah, it contains virtual network functions with Mano. Will manage and network orchestration. Okay, and then a future is about cloud native infrastructure or CNF. So kanina pina-mention natin about yung VNF and then later on naman CNF naman siya. So cloud native functions. Mostly Kubernetes yung ginagamit na technology or yung applications for that. Okay. So in terms of core network, most of the implementations have already been converted or migrated to clouds. And then with the Open Run, there's an initiative to convert also to cloud. So here are some of the examples, but I think later on some of the topics we'll discuss more on about Open Run, different types. But basically, the objective is to put it in the cloud. So maybe the technology will use DNF or NFD infrastructure or cloud native functions. So what's inside the core network? So we have 2G and 4G. For 2G, we have mobile switch center, home location register, SMSC or short message switching center. We have SSGN and DGSN for serving. So mobile switching, basically it handles the signaling and the calls. And then for home location register, it's basically the database of the subscribers. So all the data are stored in the HLR. SMSC, it's basically for SMS or text message. It's the one who do store and forward the messages. And then SSGN and GGSN is for the data. So most of the telco implementations, medyo familiar na ang telco in terms of separating the signaling and the user plane or the control and user plane. So for here, in terms of 2G and 3G network, separate na yung signaling. So most of the time, ito yung SS7 protocol. And then iba rin yung protocol for calls. So yun yung ISO tinatawag. And then iba rin yung GPRS. So yung GPRS is more on data. Okay. So there's a separation already of the control and user plane. Then sa 4G network, it's a complete different network from 2G and 3G. So there are new elements. Mobile Management Entity, MME. It's basically the same with MSC, same functionality almost. But 4G network only caters data network. So unlike in 2G and 3G, they have calls, SMS. So 4G network, walang calls, walang SMS. But later on, because of IP Multimedia Subsystem or IMS, uh, we have the technology called VoLTE and Voice over Wi-Fi. So that's where the time na we or VoLTE LTE is 4G. So that's where the time na nagkaroon ng voice service sa 4G network. Okay. So MME switching pa rin siya more on data. And then HSS or Home Subscriber Server. It's the same functionality with HLR. And then serving gateway, PDN gateway, public data networks, it's basically the internet. And then yung IMS, that's what I mentioned before. In terms of signaling, yung separate din ng signaling ng 4G network. So it's mostly diameter protocol. It's a older brother version of radius na ginagamit for AAA. But since diameter is capable to handle also the signaling, specific dun sa mga AVPs nila or attributed value pair that can replicate the SS7 signaling. So yun yung ginamit na signaling for 4G. And then we go to 5G network elements. So we have a new uh, network elements na different dun sa 4G network. But since these are new technologies, most of the functions are not yet available or not yet fully implemented. But in local, I think the only one who have 5G is the Dito. And then for the other networks, they are still developing or implementing the standalone 5G network. But in terms of radio, actually we're using the 5G NSA or non-standalone. So some of the capability of 5G radio are already being implemented. And then there are other network elements also like firewall, DHCP, DNS, routers and switches, and CGNAT or carrier grade network address translations. So almost all of these network elements can be converted into a virtualized or VNF, virtualized network functions. Okay, so it depends on the need on the requirement of the subscribers in terms of how they use the internet, what kind of data they're using. So that will command on what technology can be put into virtualized network functions based on the uh, advantages as mentioned before. So next, I'll discuss the technology map of NFDI in terms of how the actual applications or software that develop the NFDI. So one example is Red Hat. It's mostly used for NFDI. So ito yung network technology map na compared before. No? So kung makita niyo before, yung meron siyang NFDI, meron siyang virtual network functions, and NFD Mano. So here, nilagay ko na yung mga actual applications that are performing based on the NFD standard. So, i-detail lang natin, no? So, at the lower part, teka, nilagay na ako ng... So, here in the lower part, no, of the infrastructure, so there's still physical compute, physical storage, and physical network. So, ito yung actual servers. Meron siyang specifications, and most of the time, it should be certified hardware. It should work with the software versions. So some card or NIC cards should be compatible with the SDN. So dito sa left side, no, makita niyo yung mga plugins. SDN, software-defined networking, and software-defined storage. So it should be certified pareho for hardware and software to be compatible, since most of them are talking based on API. So API, as mentioned before, is application program interface. It's basically pwedeng pwedeng REST API, JSON. It depends on the standard, but mostly dapat compatible yung version or certified yung hardware and plugins. And then sa bottom, makikita nyo pa rin yung Enterprise Linux. Red Hat Enterprise Linux, it's the operating system of Red Hat. And on top of that, there's a virtual compute, virtual storage, and virtual network. So virtual compute is most of the time it uses KVM, kernel-based virtual machines. And then for the storage, we have set storage applications. And then for the virtual network, it uses Open vSwitch. OVS is a type of open flow protocol na as discussed kanina. So ito na yung actual name niya, Open vSwitch. And then on top is the full OpenStack platform. Actually, may kita nyo rin OpenStack platform dito sa Mano. Siya rin yung nagpa-function as virtualized infrastructure manager. And then sa VNF na part, so ito, depende na dun sa application. So kanina na-mention ko yung mga network elements, no? So there are network elements that provide their virtualized or VM files. Files na, actually files talaga siya na parang para siyang ISO bin, ISO format na binibigay to install dun sa mga VNFs. There are also some procedures that you need to create VMs before installing the VNF. Okay. There's also an instance where kung makikita niyo dito may nakasulat na OpenShift. OpenShift is Kubernetes. It's a cloud native functions. So pwede siya mag-reside on top or inside the NFD infrastructure. Okay. What else? So for the OSS and VSS, they have middleware and meron din OpenShift. And then for applications, hybrid cloud management, they have a product called Cloud Platforms. And then sa baba, no, kung makikita niyo yung Red Hat Satellite and Ansible. Ansible is used for automations. Basically use YAML. YAML is parang programming language siya to do configurations. And then Satellite is like a local proxy server of Red Hat in terms of downloading applications. Okay. So basically ito yung no, ng OpenStack in comparing to sa NFB technologies. So mamaya mag-drill down din tayo kung ano yung laman or paano siya na-deploy. And then next, NFB infrastructure. Ito yung based on sa OpenStack na .org. It's a website na responsible dun sa development ng OpenStack. And so medyo hawig siya dun sa previous na diniscuss ko. And then kung makita nyo, meron siya mga names, no? So, like Keystone, what's the purpose of Keystones? It's for the identity, placement, teka, mali na. And then, so may mga names yung bawat functions or components. So, pag neutron, pag sinabi neutron, is more on, ano ba to? SDN. And then, sa storage, merong Swift, Cinder, may Manila pa for file sharing. For compute, merong Nova, may Zune. So, may mga names yung mga components nila. Like, it's para siyang mga service names. Kung familiar kayo sa Windows, may mga services. So, para siyang mga service names. So, kung may kanya-kanya silang responsibility na for compute, for storage, for networking, for hardware life cycle, and then meron din for OSS, integrations to other uh, network. Yan. Okay. So, balik ako dun sa OpenStack, especially with Red Hat. So, ito yung sample nung actual implementations nung Red Hat OpenStack. So, meron siyang tinatawag na director. Director is part doon na sa ilalim, no? Makikita nyo. And then, it's a tool set for installing and managing a complete OpenStack environment. So, meron siyang two main concepts. It's the undercloud and overcloud. So, for undercloud, it's the main management node. So, it's responsible for provisioning and managing the nodes. It's responsible for environment planning, bare metal system control and orchestration. And then we have the overcloud. Overcloud composed of controller, compute, and storage. Actually, ito na yung mga servers, no? So may mga server for undercloud, may servers for controller, compute, and storage. So may kanya-kanya silang functionalities. So for undercloud components, kung kanina nakita niyo yung map, so nilagay ko na siya rito in different names or services niya or components. And then may mga kanya-kanyang functionalities din sila. So like for undercloud, ganito kadami yung mga components no inside dun sa undercloud. And kung i-compare nyo dun sa discuss based on sa theory ng NFBI, yung bawat functions nun ay din breakdown na into different names or services or components ng OpenStack. Okay, so kung imamap nyo siya dun sa from the uh, NFBI map, nakamap na siya dito sa names na to. Okay, so like yung for Keystone, responsible siya sa authentications and authorizations. And then we have bare metal and compute. Tapos Neutron, responsible for networking and Open vSwitch. Open vSwitch yung mention ko kanina about OpenFlow. And then image service glance so for stores images that director writes for bare metal machines. And then orchestration, yung heat map, yung tinatawag ng heat map. And then some telemetries for monitoring and data collections. So mga KPIs. And then, yan, medyo madami pa. May object storage din. So, siya yung responsible dun sa pag-create ng storage. And then, next, we go sa undercloud. So, sa undercloud, madami rin siyang components, no? Meron siyang dashboard. Ito yung horizon. So, dito yung pinaka-main entry point. Dito lahat yung mga stats, functionalities. And then, meron din siyang identity. So kanina meron tayong Keystone, no? So meron din Keystone dito kay Overcloud. Then compute, ito yung compute, ito na yung kung saan natin i-install yung mga VNF. And then sa networking, so ito yung responsible dun sa mga SDN and OpenFlow. Image service, storage, orchestration, meron pa rin siyang orchestration because siya yung responsible dun sa pag-create instantiations ng mga VMs. And then, siyempre yung telemetry or yung mga KPIs natin, importante yon, especially sa monitoring ng mga NOC natin. So kailangan nila yung integrations or communications kung okay pa ba yung mga servers, yung mga VMs natin. Yeah. Okay, next, so overclock, tatlo yung na-mention ko kanina, no? Yung, kanina yung controller node, next yung compute node, and then next yung storage node. So dito na ako sa second, ito na yung compute node. So ang components naman niya, so meron siyang compute for CPU, and then meron siyang KVM for virtualization, and then laging meron talaga tayong telemetry or yung mga KPIs natin, and then open vSwitch. So the controller node, usually ito yung kung saan tayo nag-install ng mga VNFs. So depende kung ano yung mga VNFs. Most of the time, pwede siyang i-segregate. And then as much as possible, kina-cluster din siya. Balik pala ako dun sa ano. Sa controller node pala, meron siyang requirement to at least three controllers. So kailangan yung three controllers para magkaroon siya ng high availability. So requirement yun. Actually, recommended talaga siya to have three controllers. Para in case na mag-down yung isa, meron pa ring dalawa na capable na mag-handle or mag-control ng different nodes. Then, yun, balik ako sa compute node. And then sa compute node, so nagsusupport din siya ng mga functionalities na magko-contribute dun sa high availability. So meron siyang pacemaker for resource management. Pacemaker para siyang pacemaker ng tao. And then HA proxy for load balancing ng different clusters. And then Galera for database and Memcache din for database caching. So most of it are uh, to make the compute node functions properly. So yung compute node kasi, in terms of implementing sa mga data centers, yung mga network elements na na-mention ko before are most of the time are um, critical components. So since critical siya, you need to provide some sort of high availability and resiliency. So compared to sa traditional natin where we put different servers sa isang rack, we have data center or site redundancy. We also implement geo redundancy. Same thing din dun sa for cloud or NFBI implementations. We still implement the site redundancy or yung compute redundancy. And then we also implement geo redundancy or meaning geo redundancy meaning you have same server residing in Luzon, may same server functionality residing in Visayas and in Mindanao. So necessary siya to have a high availability. Make sure na mataas yung uptime ng service. So itong service na binimension ko is about internet, data, connectivity. So walang subscriber na magko-complain na hindi sila makakonect pagdating sa core network functionalities. Okay, so that's why there are some functionalities or components installed like in pacemaker, HA proxy, Galera, Memcache to support yung high availability functionalities. Okay, next is storage node. So we have different samples, no, Ceph storage, block storage or Cinder, and then Swift storage. So actually it's too technical on how to choose ano yung bagay. Pero most of the time, we refer to dun sa developer ng project on what they will advise. So depende siya dun sa purpose kung anong type of storage we use. And then for NFB infrastructure topology, ito yung example ng connectivity. No? So we have different servers. We have the or functions. We have director node. We have Cinder or storage node. We have controller node, we have compute node. Okay? And then, makikita nyo rin yung mga NIC. Ito yung mga network interface card. So, for compute node, they have 5. NIC 2 and 3 are Linux band. Linux band is a functionality ng uh, ng OS to bond yung two interface to one interface lang. So para siyang may virtual na meron siyang two physical pero one lang siya yung virtual niya. Ginagamit siya for the purpose of high availability. So in case na mag-down yung isang leak or masira yung isang card, kaya pa rin siyang gamitin or kaya pa rin siyang makapag-provide ng connectivity using the other NIC card. Okay, so dito makita niyo OVS DPDK band. OVS, as mentioned before, it's the Open vSwitch. So it's part of the OpenFlow protocol. So meron siyang different functionality. So may bonding pa rin siyang ginagamit na communicating with compute and control node. Um, yeah. So basically, critical ang NIC in terms of implementing NFDI because maraming functionalities or related transactions or applications that will utilize the NIC card. So that's why it's important na compatible yung NIC and yung applications. Okay. So basically that's the actual implementation. So NFDI, NFV, OpenFlow SDN, and then I will share some projects na related dito na I've seen online na pwede kong i-share sa inyo. Actually, online naman siya. It's public. And I will share on how they utilize these technologies. So here's a YouTube video from SD-RAN. It was implemented in Deutsche Telekom. So they have this full cloud-native microservice architecture that uses SD-RAN. So it's a trial project. I think it's around 2021 yata. So pero you can scan the QR code. Uh, you can watch on how they implement. So medyo detailed yung instruction no. Ano yung mga components, ano yung mga cloud functions na in-install niya doon sa system niya. And how they were successfully implemented yung SD-WAN. Next is ito yung former engineer ko. Was working with SMSGT before, pero right now he's working in Rakuten, Japan. Then since na expose na siya in telco, and then yung current work niya with Rakuten is more on 4G, 5G. So naging hobby na niya to create some home network inside mo. So ito yung sample na ginawa niya. He replicated a 4G network in his laboratory, in his test environment sa bahay niya. So you can scan the QR code. Meron siyang instructions on how he implemented or what applications. So he's using K8 Kubernetes. So that's why you can see sa below, no? Meron siya mga K8 master and worker. And then, yeah. Actually, madami siyang mga content about yung mga ginagawa niya mga home projects. Okay, you can QR code, scan the QR code and see kung ano yung mga ginagawa niya. Next, so bridging the gap, no? Actually, ang napakalaking ng gap, napakalaking skills kailangan i-develop. So sinample ko yung for Red Hat training and certifications. They have this specific telco learning path, sorry, telco learning path na will prepare you for OpenStack and OpenShift or or Kubernetes implementations. So as a foundation, we need to go through dun sa Red Hat Enterprise Linux na certifications like yung RHCSA or Red Hat Certified System Administrator. Actually, you can copy this, no? Meron siyang code na RH199 for Red Hat Rapid Track Course. Pero ang isang slow course nito yung 124, RH124 and RH134. So in preparations para dun sa certification ng Red Hat Certified System Administrator, RCSA. Then after niya pumasa dun sa RHCSA, you can take yung RH294, Linux Automation with Ansible. So Ansible, napaka-critical nito. Madaming deployment ang gumagamit ng Ansible. Actually, sinasabi ng Ansible na hindi lang Linux yung kaya mo i-configure. Pwede ka rin configure ng mga switches, ng mga different network elements. So si Ansible capable doon. So after that, you can take the RHCE, Red Hat Certified Engineer. So once na pumasa ka, you have different path to take. You can take Red Hat OpenShift. So it's more on Kubernetes na ito na yung container network functions. So basically, dun siya umiikot. And then, or you can take Ansible automation, mga best practices for Ansible. And then system administration for OpenStack. So OpenStack, ito yung discuss ko about yung sa NFBI kanina. No? So meron siyang different stages. So meron siya RHCSA in Red Hat OpenStack. So may specific na RHCSA. No? Kanina, Red Hat Certified System Administrator for RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Ito naman, Red Hat OpenStack. And then meron siyang self-storage architecture, self-storage administration, and then certified engineer in Red Hat OpenStack. So napakalayo pa nung ang haba niyan. And I think medyo expensive din yung mga exams nila. So parang around 20,000 yung certifications ng isa. And then share din ako ng mga open sources, no. So most naman niyan ay nanggaling sa open source. So you can check the openstack.org or the NFB, so yung QR code. And then you have the open networking. So ito yung OpenFlow, SDN related. And then meron ding Linux Foundation. So you can scan the QR code, research nyo ano yung track na may mga free naman dyan na mga training courses. And then may mga reading materials na pwede download, pwede basahin later on.